Let me see. Do you hear me more? This is it. Let me see. Here's the end. Chantel. Let me see. It should be in there. It should be in there. Oh, yeah, I got you. Can you hear me? I can't, can you hear me more? I think it's unmuted.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
This is my first time using this program, so I got to get used to it.
It's all good, more. We all works in progress.
Oh, yes. What's been going on, more?
A lot, man. You already know. All of this, all of that. Hold on, I'm gonna go outside for a second. They cleaned it up real good, though. Oh, okay. Okay, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, everything's so far so good, man. You know how it is out here with this whole fake virus. I mean, I don't want to say fake virus, but operation that they got running. It was something on the radio. It's my son.
Well, yeah.
You know, so that they trying to get off what they trying to get off, man.
So how's the quarantine going down there? I know they just locked Florida down.
Oh, they did? I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah. Well, supposedly the governor had locked Florida down, and also they had like 3 cruise ships coming in with corona patients.
Through Florida?
That's what we docking at Miami. I think one docked yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't just dock; they had to go and get them, and just the ones that was from Europe and Australia, they put them straight on planes home.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's been pretty quiet, man. Honestly, like I guess it could be a lot worse. However, what I do know they're doing is trying to put up as many towers as possible while people's like inside, you know. And that seems to be the main goal of the whole thing anyway. So in terms of that, I think they're doing what they got to do.
So my question is with all the stuff going on right now, they got the 5G towers going up, and I mean, what's your take on the 5G thing with the corona? And Trump is acting stupid, or he didn't know about it? What do you think?
Well, everything that they do, as we know, as we've been talking about on mass shows, was basically all incrementalism anyway. So they've been slow walking people to this part of the story for, you know, at least 50 years. You know what I'm saying? So we can cite different books and different TV shows, just like we started looking for 9/11. Seemed like whenever something major happens like that, somebody can go into the internet somewhere and find somewhere where this was already spoken about, where it was already played out, where it was already this. So that means if that happens every time a major event happens, then you're not talking about something that's random. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about something that's deterministic. You're talking about a idea of something that has been in the subconscious of the people that is basically being slowly brought to the top. So the whole idea of apocalypse has been a part of the human reality, you know, towards the end of every epoch. So at the beginning of an aeon or beginning of what they call an epoch of time, everything is somewhat tranquil because the tranquility of that has come from the destruction of the epoch before. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can go through a millennium of peace and all of that, and then eventually get into a decline. So that's kind of how I see everything happening now. It's an ebb and flow where now everything that they have been working to predict and get off, they want to get off during this time. So whatever they want to do or you want to do, this is the time to do it because this is like the last Hail Mary before the actual hammer come down. And now they are being held responsible for everything we're doing or everything that they've done. So what they've tried to do is pass the buck on to the greater humanity by getting humanity um, to reduce itself to the level of bestiality, so that way it believes that it cannot be redeemed. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But to redeem something, you notice that everything that deals with the rise in spirituality also has a financial or economic equivalent to it, like good faith and credit. You know what I'm saying? Like debt forgiveness, right? Like being able to redeem something for value. You know what I mean? To
Right.
accept, right? These are all so-called Christian terms or terms that deal with some sort of divinity or worship or the exchange of something otherworldly for something material. You know what I'm saying? So even where they how they establish tax season, the fact that that always happens in April, you see what I'm saying? Right before, right after Easter, things like that. Like the census usually coming in every so often, but always after the so-called fake new year into the new one, like where we are right now.
Mm-hmm.
So these things that we think are somewhat disconnected, the fact that the term prophet also means profit, you understand? And why people who call themselves prophet tend to profit, whether wrong or right. You see what I'm saying? This is to show that this reality has a deep rooted connection to where there's a deep rooted connection in third density to that which is attainable but intangible. So something intangible like uh being given a bar of gold would be as seen as being blessed. You see what I'm saying? Because when you receive the money, you'd be like, "Oh, I'm blessed." You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Or like I said, when they do get into things like debt forgiveness, like to forgive a debt. How can a bank forgive a debt? We're giving the bank now the means of power that it really does not have. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because technically, nobody can owe a bank because banks have no money. You know what I'm saying? So we're at this time now where all of these words that they've used to create this spiritual uh uh dependency on money as a sign of physical faith or you're more blessed by God if you have more money. You know what I'm saying? As people believe things like that. You understand? But when we really understand what money is in this country, it's only gold and silver. Everything else is credit. Therefore, credit is not money. Credit is another form of debt. That's what you owed me for using my real blood, sweat, equity, i.e. money, i.e. birthright, to establish this thing. And so now that the veil is being brought down, I think, between what is real, what is valueless, what is substance, what is substanceless, our people are finding ourselves at a misnomer because we're still looking at things like reparations and those things that really are just pittance. That's nothing compared to how much is really owed in compound interest. And the only one that has ever really discussed that at length, again, was the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. You know what I'm saying? And in that, I always bring it back to that because we as Asiatics really are the only people that are not insolvent. We're the only people that are actually whole because our equity is not dependent upon the United States because it existed before it. And in order for the United States to exist, it had to find a way to subdue that equity and tie itself to it by keeping us as legal tender, or, you know what I'm saying, as debt or wage slaves connected to it. So this corona thing that we could read books like Edge of Darkness or Emily Dickinson's book where she talked about what happened in Wuhan. There was another clip that came out. Somebody talked about it. We can see these same things playing out in every different aspect of every event that has happened on this level. So if that's the case, then what we're really saying is that the reason why the same people can maintain their money is because they're following a specific algorithm. They're following a specific scale that allows them to pre-predict how people are going to react based upon issuing them the same script generation after generation, just flipping the actors in it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if your corona, so the story I heard was that it was actually established at Fort Detrick, and then from Fort Detrick it had got out, and then they started to create a different narrative for it because this was seen as the Hail Mary because they know all the indictments have finally been unsealed. For those people that don't know what I'm talking about, all of the 150,000 to 250 plus thousand documents, indictments of the top 1 to 10% involved in the global human trafficking, baby eating thing that's been happening, I would say officially since George W. Bush gave his New World Order speech. But if we want to really bring it back, you could bring it back really to about the time of Weishaupt, aka Washington. But for the most part, everybody is using an element of it to pop off what they need to pop off before the hammer is brought down on everybody. And so they had a real virus that was actually allegedly intercepted, and once it was intercepted, the weaker strain was put out, and that weaker strain had a heavy efficacy role over people above a certain age that already had conditions towards these congenital defects that they get from however they got it. So the same way AIDS never killed anybody, the pneumonia related AIDS or the pneumonia or whatever related disease that the already weakened immune system received is what actually killed the individual, not the name that they're doing, not the name that they're putting it under. So technically coronavirus has never killed anyone. It's the related immunity deficiency that has already been exacerbated by whatever preconceived condition that is helping accelerate the destruction of the immunity in the individual that had the preconceived condition or the precondition that allowed their immune system to be broken down by what they're calling the virus. But like the sister said on the YouTube clip, if it was really like that, then all of us should have been dead from AIDS, because everybody knows somebody with AIDS, right?
Right.
And if
Hold up, you freezing up.
people was walking around with masks and all that too, right? But we all didn't catch it, did we? We hardly know people that's dying from it now.
Food. I mean, back when it came out, it was like, yeah, if you eat food, you can catch AIDS.
Right. But how can you catch something that is not that can only be communicated within a specific way, which means then it has a certain way of deliverance, which means that it was tailor-made to deliver to people in that way, in that sexual way. And then once the gay community and these people communities figured that out, they switched up they sexual practices and habits, right? And brought in a cleaner, if that's a good word, but a more direct way of dealing with their sexual hygiene. And you stop hearing about the epidemic, right?
Yeah.
Right? When you stop hearing about it, what they come out with, the AZT, right? And then it turns out, we find out that the ACT actually had the real AIDS in it, and people taking it was actually now dependent upon it because that was actually killing them. The same way they're saying now, people who are getting the COVID-19 test is actually getting tainted tests because all the tests is tainted with coronavirus.
That's what I'm saying. Like up here, it's a huge epidemic in Detroit. I know. I lost my grandfather last week. He was healthy.
Sorry to hear that, Mom.
And when they shut down the senior citizens home, we weren't able to go see him. And so
they
moved him to a hospital. And when they called my parents, my granddad was dead. And
wow.
then my parents' next door neighbor, she went to the doctor with a cold, they haven't seen her in 2 weeks. Announced hey, she's dead. Now these are elders, property holders, pension
You
holders.
see, the elders and the property owners, because now if they gone, right, now let's say they have young cats, and you know they've already disconnected the elders from the youth. So now let's say, okay, the elder's gone, and then we got this kid locked up for trespassing or whatever. Now he's in jail. Now what happens to the property? They just automatically go in there, put the little number on the property. Nobody contests that. Now the property goes to the auction. You see what I'm saying? Now he get out of jail, go back home. Now he get an eviction or a dispossession notice or whatever on his notice, all because he couldn't respond back via the mail. You see, all because there's a disconnection between the elders and the youth when it comes to property passing down for legacy purposes, legacy trusts and stuff. It's like the generation before us or certain aspects of that generation totally like destroyed that in our community. Where because we was in the street, we in gangs and this and that. It's like, well, I ain't gonna live it to them. I'm gonna just sell it to the white man, right? And then look what happens. You see, now you have whole communities decimated when the money to fix the communities is right there. But everybody is a trustee under the occupational government, so they can't access the goods and services from the republic side because they're being processed through a legal democracy. There's no such democracy has never been issued or never spoken once of in the Constitution, ever. It's matter of fact, it's not in the Constitution. It's not in the Article of Association. It's not in the Articles of Confederation. It's not in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. It's not in in anything. So when did this democracy thing start up? It started up when they started to usurpate our original people who were the elders and the ancient ancestors in the different counties and communities that was running the states and the governments, and they done ran us out of there and placed us with a bunch of brain dead Negroes that's still trying to integrate into a burning house. You know what I'm saying? Like this whole thing, as much as it's about the virus, this is really about witnessing the end of the time frame that we came into. Think about how many disasters we done lived through, man.
Yeah,
how many more we gonna get?
I was telling my parents that too, man. We done been through a lot of shit, man. This generation, us and alone, man. We done seen towers falling down, the crack era, shit, murderers, AK-47,
right?
AR-15.
Gulf War,
I can go
Desert Storm,
and so
Iraq
coronavirus.
invasion.
You wonder why some of the youth they don't really give a fuck.
No,
they don't really give a fuck. They didn't escape everything else. Shit, they done ran from shit. Falling towers, they done ran from bullets. We done ran from the police, beat up, killed, all this shit. And
yes, more. And yes, so, more. How much more are we supposed to take?
I mean,
so you have to understand, we should all be, we all should be thankful that we're witnessing all of this now. We should be thankful that it's gotten to the point. Yep. We should all be thankful that these things happen. So that way we can actually realize that we're about to witness something else. You know what I'm saying? But so many of us have not prepared, or so many of us have seen your show, has seen me over the years, has seen you or whatever. And for whatever reason, just because I'm involved with it or because I believe in it, they don't want to have nothing to do with it. And now think about it. Every day now, they are in a position where they have to see these things unfurl and may want to holler at you, but their own pride is stopping them because they don't want to make it seem like you was right. So you have people that's willing to go down. This is how brain dead our people are. We willing to go down for spite. Yeah. For spite, you know? Or because I ain't dealing with that because, you know, that's what they've been dealing with. But it happens to be true. But the stuff we dealing with is true, you know? So that's why I feel like it's the best time for us to consolidate and do what we need to do in order to preserve what little we have. Thank you, baby.
And so what about
to preserve what little we have left, because everybody else is out here tripping. Like Black people, you know, we forgot what it's like to be still, like what it's like not to have to be involved and not be on thing. And you see us breaking people down. You see some of the celebrities on TV, a lot of these guys is actually under house arrest, and they actually suffering from withdrawal from the Kuru thing, meaning that from they don't get their adrenochrome. You have the line. They don't get their adrenochrome supplements, and now their hair is graying, their skin is looking all gray and washed out. I was bugging the other day when the queen told me, she showed me Puffy on TV with crystals and sage. This nigga had some amethyst crystals and was burning sage, talking about how we all got to get together. And I said, wow, Allah is on their ass. Allah is on their ass. They are not doing well.
Yeah,
you understand? The thing with that stuff is you got to take that stuff every day. If you don't take your little adrenochrome, you know what I'm saying, supplement, epinephrine or whatever it is that you got to do when you involved with them people, you go through the hell. You think crack withdrawal is bad. You think meth withdrawal is bad. You don't know what it's like to be used to eating children and things like that.
That's what do it. The movie Sleep was. What was it? Sleeper about the second installment to The Shining.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't get
all of them baby eating people. Okay. Yeah, all of that whole cipher, that whole little group that these people be in, man, they all be doing heavy bouts of that stuff. And it's every day. Do you understand? Over 100,000 children go missing every month.
Right.
In the United States, every month. You know how many children that is compounded from the time they started actually recording this? Because these are just the ones they got birth certificates for. You gotta understand, these people got whole different communities where they have what they call puppy mills, where they got women that actually sit there and breed and just locked in a hotel, and that hotel is run by this agency, and all they do is go bring women in there and just pump out babies. As soon as they have one, get them another one. And then they use those babies for harvesting or organs or rituals or whatever else. This is why they hate Trump. This is why they hate these people, because this is who's trying to stop it, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They created a perpetual system by which now everybody has been touched by this. There's not one person on the earth that has not been touched by what they call SRA, which is satanic ritual abuse. All of us have been tainted by that. That's not a made up thing, that's a fact. But because they created CIA Order 1035A that says we're going to use the word conspiracy theory as a means to shut down any legitimate information on the truth of what we're doing, right? They now with it. Now they have people who once you say conspiracy theory in it, they switch it. So now they automatically ain't trying to listen to what you're saying. You see? But that term was invented by the same people, so that way, if you say it, it's a trigger in the mass consciousness of those that's already asleep. This is what we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying?
We're talking about that 5G and all this forever, man. Adrenochrome.
Yeah, we've been talking about it forever.
You know.
I can hear you.
Yeah, but like I was watching that movie, The Sleepers, and I was like, damn, man, this is the same thing the shit was talking about with the adrenochrome, and when they wasn't getting their bodies, they was drying up. You know.
Yeah, that's the problem. It is on speaker. It's just your voice is a little low on this system for some reason.
Let me check my voice.
Can you turn it up on your end?
Yeah, it should be turned up. Can you hear me?
Yeah, mine is turned all the way up too. It's just for whatever reason, you sound kind of low. It's all good. See? But essentially, that's really what's going on, bro. They've created a way to always get out of doing the right thing by constantly using elements of the society and the people's need who have become dependent on the same society they say they're against. So the 5G thing is really about getting into your fifth dimensional frequency that's now open, your celestial state that's now open and access through your corona, which is your aura. You know what I'm saying? And because we are the followers of the core, which is why we usually have things named or put in the form of time measurement. like a quorum, or a quorum, like what the Republic of the United States was, when you get them all together. You see what I'm saying? What they are doing is creating a subroutine in the algorithm to get people to do whatever they say based upon their understanding of what they think this so-called virus or this so-called thing is. But really, it's a mass post-hypnotic suggestion. And that the people that are being affected and dying, like the reason why all the people dying in Europe and Italy and stuff is because that's the highest concentration of elderly in the world.
It is.
So
they don't use gloves too. I was over there for some months. I mean,
well, you already know.
I mean,
but see, that became part of the culture after we got kicked out. It's all the way up. Part of the culture after we got kicked out was for them to do away with everything that we was on. So all the bathing, all the history, all the culture, all of that stuff, they did away with that. Went right back to eating the pork and right back to doing all of that. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, here they are now. Now they too old to pass anything on to nobody. And Allah's getting rid of them because since we left, they've been celebrating our fall and our breakdown and kicking out of that place ever since, right?
Right. Dressing up as us.
Painting their faces black, right?
Yeah. Having celebrations.
Dressing like us and all of that. God don't like ugly and cute neither. And you can't do that in all of these different places in the world where we brought so much freedom and culture and life, and then play us. You know what I'm saying? Like we was never nothing. So now they all drinking double a cup and everybody mad. And everybody's also on some mad because it don't seem to be affecting as many Asiatics as they want. So they got to come up with the heavy propaganda. Anybody talking about the 5G war that's going on? There's people all over the world knocking them towers down, man. There's dudes all over the world burning them towers down to the point where they got to have police escorts to put them up. And as soon as they put them up, they're bringing them down.
Well, I know up here, Aseer, you got the thing where they telling you, the news is telling the people to go to the doctor, get tested, no matter if you don't got no symptoms or not. But Trump is telling you to stay home.
Yep.
And so they blaming him like this is Trump's fault. But listen, but you went down there not even having symptoms with them Chinese swabs. This was going on in Detroit. Right. And they killing people up here.
Literally.
They literally going to the deaf doctors and getting done in.
Yes. And then, like I said, I just be noticing the timing and when they do stuff. You know what I mean? All this popped off way after Saban. You know what I'm saying? People like him. Remember that time when they was getting rid of all them holistic doctors all over the world? Remember that? Nobody talking about that no more. You notice that?
And now a lot of them passed. A lot of them got murdered.
Right.
Even shamans right now. A shaman in what was that? Brazil in the jungle.
Yep. Got rid of him. Got rid of the sister that was running the revolution out there in Brazil. Matter of fact, not saying that there was any foul play with him. I don't know, but bless the elder brother, Laila Africa just passed. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. I got you.
And I'm just looking at how all of this is reflective of the same situation. That the people that could actually give you real qualified data or information about it are now not here. And so they're substituted by these jokers or these actors, these crisis actors, acting as if they're in the so-called community. And, you know, they're really just there perpetuating the same false ideas in order to allow everyone to become sufficient on maintaining the status quo. You know what I'm saying? Like even rebelling against the system is a form of maintaining the system. You understand what I'm saying? The way that this thing really works is that everybody is participating in it, whether we like it or not. That's why the Bible says we're all born into sin. Because the word sin also means equivalent to the word debt, but it can also be equivalent to the word moon, right?
Right.
So all things are done by the night and come forth in the day. Therefore, there's an order to how things are perpetuated in the society in order for the society to function. You know what I'm saying? So the people, that's why the enemy supports or funds the people against him and for him equally. That's really why they win. So in, like you said, they have an instance with Donald Trump, where Donald Trump will say, stay home, but then they're saying, come and get tested. So the question then to the individual, now everybody that hate Trump is going to do what? Go get tested.
Go get tested. And
everybody
the swabs
that
from China, the swabs came in from China. How is you saying you against China, but you taking the swab, and then Russia just brought in with their military plane in some supplies, masks, the whole nine.
Yeah, because 90% of the masks, so 70% of the masks come from China. Everything come from China because Nixon took everybody off the gold standard, right? FDR took everybody and made them chattel. Nixon then followed up, took them off the gold standard. Reagan then came and then shut down the, Reagan then came and then shut down the industry, American industry. That was shut down. Then Clinton came down, shut down the ability to move the goods the way that they're supposed to freely. That's where the NAFTA and GATT thing started. And that's when they closed the Caribbean coke pipeline and it opened up the Mexican thing. You see what I'm saying? But they're using old treaties and old congressional stomping points to do this. And then all those old congressional records, all of that was ancient Mauritania, the Moorish Empire. This is what the white people in America was calling this thing. So if the US, which is the occupational government, then falls, then what is that going to mean for the actual republic? The republic now comes back online, right? Well, they don't want that. Because in the republic, in the Articles of Federation, they don't got no power. You understand? So they had to create a mirror of everything and then put themselves under the mirror. And then only change certain words. And if you don't understand the difference between the organic constitution towards then the national constitution or which United States you're in, then you're screwed. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on which United States you're functioning in, what allows them to do or not do something. And that's really it. So Trump is in the republic because he's the only one that's not listed as a direct Freemason like that. He's a legacy, you know. His in the KKK and whatever else, his father and them, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, they said George Bush Sr., before his military execution, came one day in the White House in a goat's mask, came to do the citizens' business in a goat's mask, like a real like goat head.
That's that skull and bones. That's skull and bones.
Yeah. This is the president of the United States. The man just coming to work and the president come in wearing a giant goat's head, man.
Well, I know you remember Tupac's boy that was in the Outlaws, one of them before he died. He was talking about the parties in LA where he had went to a party and one of the damn members came out with the goat head. And then he came up killed. After this was like, I want to say early 2000s and shit, 99. And I was like, I was younger. I'm like, in the goat head, what the fuck was they smoking over there? But now I look back, he was telling some shit.
Yeah.
And that was one of the Outlaws.
Yeah, more. They all was preparing in essence for this. And because this has been part of the script for so long, they're just following what they last Hail Mary. It's like a Hail Mary. They're doing whatever they could do to kind of like get their stuff off while at the same time they're being hunted down. You know what I mean? Like the arrest records and stuff is up. Ellen DeGeneres, what's his name? They all being arrested. They all in the house
Tom
arrest.
Hanks? What? Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks, but it's mad at them, yo. And this has been going on for a while. I first spoke about it a long time ago in a joint called Red China Rise in World War V, elements of it, and then I talked about it again years later in a joint called The Big Deck Global Reset. And it's all tied into the ancient trusts that were already there for the indigenous ones or the original people to go back to their governments after to allow humanity to get to its sublime state. And that plan of experts was hijacked around the time that the UN and these people came into power after World War I and World War II, creating manufacturing those wars, and then turned it into this thing now. So once it was formally announced at the speech that George H.W. Bush gave, the 1,000 Points of Light speech, where he referred to the so-called New World Order 111 times, that was them bringing it into existence and letting the world know that they had now, the United States had now formally, openly now become a Luciferian type government. And that's when a lot of the movies, if you start to look at how the culture was then driven, it went from ultra capitalism to ultra anti-communism to ultra espionage, drug-based, human trafficking-based to reflect what's actually happening. Understand?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know that when we're going to see the man in one red shoe, what the red shoe really symbolizes. You understand? But it's the symbolism that's going to be their undoing. That's going to be the thing that's going to always let you know that they were involved with something, because they have to continuously do the same rituals and make you think that your rituals or what your culture is different or not real. And it's the opposite. There's no such thing as Moloch. That whole story about Moloch being the god that they were sacrificing in Phoenicia, all that, that was all fake. That was all made up by the Talmudic so-called Jews that was kicked out of, that adopted the Babylon system. And under a guy named Flavius Josephus, created the whole so-called history of what we understand the ancient world to be, which was fake. Moloch or Malak is a variation of the word Malek or Malik, which means he of faith. The Moloch that they talking about, Molech, that they talking about is Molech. You understand? And Molech is a so-called fake deity that these Khazarians was kidnapping children, burning them, grinding them up, and then putting them in the matzah bread. This was allegedly the rituals that they used to talk about and do. So again, that's part of the history of
Passover,
those people, right? As well.
That's the Jews from
Passover.
Now that's what's like
right in that era. And then they dance the Baka Havita. Yeah. This is how they do it, because their God is Lucifer. You understand? That's why, if you notice, before the whole Corona thing back last year or year before last, it was the measles in New York, centered around the Ashkenazims. You see, because the Ashkenazims in those communities are at war with each other, between the Lubavitch and the Setmars, and they've been at war, and that war carries back over to Israel in those that are pro-Palestine and pro-not. The Lubavitch is against, or members of Lubavitch is against Palestine. The Setmars is against Palestine, whereas the Lubavitch eventually is pro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, are pro-Israel, and then you have the ones that's against Israel. Right. But they all get checks from Israel, regardless. You understand?
Yeah, man. We seem to like Israel is seems to be the connect behind the 5G and Kushner though. That's Trump's son-in-law.
The only place that don't have no 5G radiation sickness people in it is Russia. How come? Because Russia ain't turned on they thing to their people yet. They only using it for the military. Because Putin ain't trying to do that. What Putin is trying to do is set Russia up to be what America was back after World War II. That's what he trying to play Russia in the future. And to do that, he know that that's all black. Same reason why Russia wasn't affected by the Renaissance. Why we can get all of these ancient black pictures of the Moors and everything for Russia, because they wasn't with that. They had their version. Like the Pope, people got to remember, the Pope is not the head of everything. There's two popes. The front Pope, the one you see, public Pope, he's the puppet. The real Pope is the Jesuit general, right? But even those two popes, they are not the head of Rome. The head of Rome is the emperor of Rome. And that's the head patriarch who sits above on the council of the patriarchs at Istanbul, at the church of Hagia, the mosque of Hagia Sophia.
Oh, yeah, right there. I got it. Yeah, I was there. That's the one on the hill.
That's right.
The high up, right? Yeah, that's
one.
right. I took a picture behind that one. That's, yeah, in Turkey.
Built by the Moors. Right. Osman Ali Bey, Muhammad II, all of them. Built by the ancient Moors. And because it sits on two continents, this is why it's so strategic. So right now, Egypt and Turkey is about to go to war. They're not talking to y'all about that. Anybody heard about that?
No. That's over land?
No, right. Excuse me. Egypt and
that's Cyprus, ain't it? That's in Cyprus.
Yeah, Egypt and Turkey is about to go at it with Ethiopia.
I know Turkey wants Cyprus too for themselves. They got half of Cyprus and half of it is on Greek. And they've been beefing.
All of the white Turks that you see that came into Turkey or was born in Turkey after 1800, those are all mostly Greeks. The original so-called black Turks was ran out of there. You see what I'm saying? Way after. So the ones that was left were made to believe that they were imported as slaves from somewhere else. But the only language they got is Turkish. But they want to make it seem like they had other languages, but that's actually them. They're actually the real Moors, descended from the real sultans, not the white ones that they replaced everybody with.
And on Cyprus, right? On Cyprus?
Well, I'm talking about in main, the actual country of Turkey. Cyprus, being a colony of Turkey, is where they developed these Greek people, turned them Turkish, gave them fezzes in the 1800s, and then moved them to Turkey and say, y'all Turks now.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? To get and supplant all of the black Turks that they had wiped out during the Crimean War. You understand? When you look up the Red Baron, like you see the Red Baron and Snoopy and Woodstock and all that, the Red Baron, that was an actual Moor, a real person. His name, I think, Makad or something bad. And he was dead in the air. His joint was already cresting. Hundreds of ships is deaths is connected to him. You know what I mean? But we don't hear about him. What the white Masons will do is make him a thing on Charlie Brown. You know what I'm saying? Without really seeing. But when you look up or type in first Turkish pirate, the Red Baron, whoever Bey, he'll come up and you see him standing there with his two Turkish slaves behind him, manning the plane.
You said first Turkish pilot?
Yeah. Black. You see it?
Yeah, I see him right here, the Ottoman.
There you go.
Ali Effendi.
There you go. It's my dude, looking like Teddy Pendergrass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that was the first mechanized war, because we were, again, the Moorish Empire, the Osman Ali Empire, what they call the Ottoman Empire, was just the modern version of the super ancient Moorish Empire that went into transition between 1491 and 1776. And then between 1776 and 1791 was a slow intermediate period in which we started to be absorbed into the fracturing of the kingdoms over here, because they were now cut off from the greater empire over there. And so it was every man for itself until we started to put it back together from that point on, you know. So most of these people that they say white, actually black. a lot of the battles they say happen in reality. They just roll them like they happen and add it to history to give them credibility over something that was never in.
Hold up.
Images of the ancient black nobility from Europe or whatever, they all black, they all melanated people. And we say that they were Moors because they were under and a part of the Moorish Empire, but they were Christians and therefore didn't consider themselves Moors, the same way I could be with a brother today who's jet blacker than me, but he considered himself a Christian, which means he's a Roman. You understand? So if you, 10 more minutes. So if you say Christian today, you're saying Roman. You understand? So if you equate and just get rid of all of the denomination and just go for what it is. If you're a Christian, you're a Roman, period. So if you understand what that means, then you understand you got to start to understand the different aspects of the Roman state and where we fall in that. We are above it because it was created off of the destruction of our people who brought humanity in and out of the dark ages. Therefore, we are the inheritors of everything that was created after us. And so as we wake up to this consciousness and go into a higher fifth dimensional reality, they have to set up a 5G, a fifth dimensional gate, right? Or geometry that would allow them to pollute our bodies so that way our souls would be ripe for what they call soul splitting, where they take the soul out the eye and all that stuff and then replace it with the worm.
You said, okay, soul splitting, okay.
Say again?
You said soul splitting?
Yes, soul splitting. That's where when you see them all with the black eye and they all got black eyes, that's where I did a joint called What the F, a Moorish American modern view on sex a while ago. It's on my website. And on that, I talked about this around the year 2000 and all of this type of stuff. And one of the aspects of the rituals they do in the moon phase rituals is to engender the young women to become succubus by hypersexualizing them through what they call moonchild rituals that were perfected by people who are into that sort of demonology. These are the people who came in and created what you call MK Ultra. All of that stuff is a form of Goetia-based left-hand path, what they call black magic. Mm-hmm. But it has no relevance on the reality, the greater whole. If you look at the universe of magic in a whole, that's not even an inch of it. You understand? But what they've done is turn off everybody's perception of everything else but that. So people who get into these paths, people who get into these relationships with them are naturally affected. And depending on how high they go, they wind up being infected by this thing. So when you see them all with the blood, with the black eye, black left eye, look like somebody punched them in the eye. It's a violent thing to do that. You know what I'm saying? And this one eye symbolism is why you see it in all of the different eras of time. Because these are all of the people who have been down with this way of doing things, you understand, up until now. And they are celebrating that, being a part of that ancient cult, right? So some people will call it the cult of Satan or Lucifer. That is all Areopagite. What the real thing is Areopagitism, where they are, the gods that they are worshiping are not even real gods. They're trigger aspects of Goetia, demonic Goetias, which are like negative thoughts that are amplified through ritual and then live through the organism that is everybody that's participating in that ritual all over the world. So this thing that's happening where they all getting arrested and locked up and all these rituals are shutting down, it's shutting down this whole ancient mechanism, is grinding to a halt. If you've been receiving children pineal glands for 200 years, and then all of a sudden
to grind to where you was getting like 8 a day. You only getting like 1 a year. You understand? They starving. They starting to starve. That's why there's no concerts going on. That's why they're wearing masks. So you can't see how they're deteriorating. You understand? And Trump know all of this. You understand? He the one that's been saying all this all the time. That's why he's saying one thing, they doing another. But remember, there's 2 of him. So he's triple Gemini-ing these niggas. You understand? he's triple Gemini-ing it. So the 33 levels above him and the secret president can't maintain the control. So really nobody's in control right now. You understand? So they got to hide that. So they got to protect the people on one hand by keeping them in the house so they not seeing them pulling out these niggas with tentacles and stuff in their face and all that right now. You understand? And if anybody see them like that, they have the National Guard now to silence that person. You see what I'm saying? And that footage. You understand? So all of that's happening while at the same time, the devil people is trying to make it where everybody actually gets the real virus that was intercepted. You understand? And then you got niggas trying to stop that. You see? That's why you ain't been hearing about no heavy like police killings. You understand? That's interrupting the police killings. In terms of the annual ritual they got to give to demons like Abraxas and these type of things every month in the form of the black man or black woman or black child getting killed by the police. They done slowed that up. That's interfering in that. So remember, they all rituals run on the schedule. So they all falling apart. That's why they all look crazy. Whereas Trump don't look like he care. You understand what I'm saying? Meanwhile, like I said, silver is up almost 150 points. You understand? In another month, it may go up again, but you can't get none. Then at the same time, you got the commodities market that look like it's going to crash because nobody can get the goods, which is then affecting what? The illegal market, which is driving the price up on the underground people getting money off of that. You understand? Which the government is not getting no money from. So you see what I'm saying? Everybody is using it to pop off whatever they could pop off before Passover. Because by Passover, this whole thing got to get rectified by May 15th because that is the day of Corona. That's the last day of the official sacrifice in this ritual before we now get into the Jason season. But this done messed up a lot of stuff. So a lot of entities that was supposed to manifest couldn't manifest this year. A lot of rituals that was planned from 150 years ago done just been destroyed. So now everybody down with that got to get murdered. You understand what's happening? This whole thing is not what these people is talking about. And meanwhile, we're fine. Africa's fine. Where I'm at with Africa, what y'all gonna do about Libya? Ain't nobody talking about that. When y'all gonna go invade Libya and liberate the Moors that's being enslaved there? Because they enslaving Africans from all over. And what we gonna do, or what they're gonna do about the 300 million Chinese that China says is gonna repopulate Africa in the next 25 years. They said they want 300 million Chinese people in Africa in the next 25 years, B. That means you're gonna have a whole nother phenotype of Asiatic African in Africa, now dealing with that tribalism and the old Africans and dealing with the ones that's already been promised to Europe. All of Europe is basically dead. So now that's wide open now for Moors or whoever else want to go there and whatever. And they've been doing the ritual since we left to bring us back ever since. So this is it. So that's what I'm saying. Like let's just be aware and as vigilant as possible, but not get too wrapped up in other people's business, man, and other people's problems.
Yeah, I was showing pictures of the adrenochrome, how Puffy was. I was showing a young Puffy.
I told you. Yes, I thank you for showing Puffy. Look at him.
Old Puffy. The old Puffy. It's gonna be up on. It's going up.
Yeah, look at him. Look at Idris Elba. Look at these people, man. Look at Richard Miller from Larry David show. And these people are suffering. Look at these people. That's why you don't see some of these people. They don't already raided Oprah House. They done excavated under the thing. It's you know what I'm saying? She putting tweets out. She's okay. She's just, preparing. Yeah, because you know what's up. This is the judgment time. Everybody is about to get. And now people who are faced with the fact that the things that you and I and the Queen and other people have been building on for all these years is now coming to bear. And they are now realizing, well, maybe I shouldn't have joined the lodge. Maybe I shouldn't.
I got Ellen on the screen right now. She is looking terrible.
Look at her. Yeah, that's what you get. That's what you get. Put up the Black Eye thing too. Black Eye Club. Put that up so people to see that. There's no way that all of these people can have the same thing wrong with their eye.
Oh yeah, I put
some
that
of them
up.
are extreme.
I put that clip up. That was in the adrenochrome. It had
that's all part of the process. And this is what it has to stop. It has to stop, man. I don't want my son to grow up like this, man. Have to deal with this. You know what I'm saying? And time is going to come where you're going to have to be that real with the children. It's not even, we didn't even know why they was doing it. Now we know why they doing it. Niggas want to act like we don't know why. But all the signs
everybody look beat up. You got George Bush, you got Kerry, you got the Pope.
They call it walnut sauce. They call it walnut sauce. They suck on it. Get the movie Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. This is what's happening. This is where these people and our children, our people are going, and it's horrible, yo.
This is the black eye. Cool. The black eye. I got the black eye picture up right now.
Yeah, God. That's what they're dealing with. They're going to a position where now they are creating a pathology where they act like that's true, and it's not. This is not how humanity was supposed to be. This is not how we left it to them, and now they got to give it back up, and they don't want to. But it has nothing to do with me or you or anything we're saying. We're just reiterating to the people, keep about your head, keep your wits up, and don't get caught up in all of the things.
Wow, man, Ellen, man, she looks hit, man. Ellen.
It's all
so that's what when you don't have like the movie Sleep. What is it, Sleep? So when you don't have adrenochrome, it dries you out. It sucks the life out of you.
It's crack. It's crack. This is what crack is based on. It's crack. This is what Meryl Streep they've all done movies about it. They've all literally shown them doing it, like in movies and stuff. This is how they get us again to agree to it, to be okay with it, to give our children up for it. Yo. Yeah. So essentially, that's all that can happen. Nobody else can exist if they are creating a world where we have to willingly give our children to this. And that's what they want.
That's some hell of a crack, man.
They created a factory where not our parents, but people's parents give them to this stuff. And we have to accept that this is what a lot of these churches and a lot of these mosques and a lot of these temples and stuff is doing. And what's binding them all, it seems that when you look at these people arrest sheets and you look at the affiliations that they're a part of, there always seems to be some sort of either gang or Freemasonic or Rotary or Lions Club or something that binds them. And that, again, is the problem, that people are using that system as a means to move it through. So let's say it's not bad. Okay, then that means you got to get rid of everybody that's doing bad stuff with it. And how you going to do that when you're getting paid from it? You can't do it. You can't do both. And all I'm saying is, everybody who thought that having a 401k was safe, where they at now? What they talking about now? Everybody who's been working at the job, my grandmother for years, get yourself a government job. Get yourself a government job. It's not no more. None of that stuff is safe. They showing you that none of it was real. It all was an illusion. None of it was supposed to happen like that. You didn't have to do none of it.
You was robbing and shooting and killing people to get paper that they print, that they about to just flip the pictures on again. That was evidence of their day.
From the 401k. When they down the 401k, she said, shit, you can get $2 trillion.
When they do the exchange, you're gonna lose half of the exchange rate in it if you don't have nothing secured.
Come on, bro.
in a fund or holding company or a state or trust, something that also is protected by treaty. That's the highest law of the land right now in all of business. And now the ancient treaties that most don't talk about, like the ancient Palladium Treaty or the Solomon and Seal Treaty or the Eagle Bowl Treaty. These are treaties that the white man done hid so well that we don't even understand how they're at play today and how each one governs a different aspect of the so-called human family. Ours, the Seal of Solomon, is also the Mohammedan one. Because in Islam, real Islam, the Hebrew, the Christian, and the so-called Muslim was all together and collectively saw things in a sense the same and lived as Moors. It's only now that they wanna, this one better than that one, this is a real Moor, he's not this, you can't do that, he's an Indian. All those guys is agents. Anybody that makes a tape about me, for instance, and won't email me is an agent. Because now they're looking to make something out of my name based on trying to find something wrong. But everything's wrong. And why me? You see what I'm saying? Especially if I'm not out here peddling a way of existing that everybody should follow. Not one interview I ever said anybody should do anything that I tell them to do, because I don't tell people what to do. So when you have a society where somebody's trying to engender you to think a certain way, whether wrong or right, and is not giving you the ability or the resources to verify it for yourself, that person's an agent of something.
Right.
Whatever it is, it's not going to benefit you. So it's best to be around people that's not like that. And I find that most agents are also Freemasons. Therefore, I've deduced that Freemasons are agents. You see what I'm saying? It's natural. It's not to say that every Freemason is that. It's not to say that every Freemason is worshiping the devil, Lucifer, and all that. It's general. But it's to say that the root of that whole thing is not what our people who made it to civilized people that wasn't us is supposed to be doing today. Not if it's coming from any so-called European source. So when they say that the stars are A-listers, they're A-listers, they're saying that they're Alisters, meaning that they belong to the cult of Alistair Crowley, the Lemites, and these guys, the real sickos. And these are the guys that's being ran down on Epstein Island. They said that they have mountains. They say he have mountains of information and pictures and all of this of what these people been doing over the years, the centuries. You understand? Imagine seeing what they did to Queen, Cleopatra or whatever, and having the records, having the actual, can really read like, wow, that's what she looked like. They got all that. And none of it got their face on it. It's all us. But we trying to still integrate with them. So those of us that don't and have made a delineation between that, especially in places like the county, especially with things like the name correction and things like that, and the Social Security, that's evidence. We've shown what side we're on. We're on the Republic side, which means we're the guys that this guy Trump is protecting. We're the 1%. It's us. We're the private citizen. He didn't just shut down the Indians. He done took the Indian land from them. I told him, if he taking the white Indian land, who do you think he gonna give it to? Oh, big business. That's us. He gave $100 billion to the so-called black community. That's us. But not black, meaning those who are not that black, like criminal, black, meaning those that were injured from all of this, from the human trafficking and all of it. So, I got a flash, man.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep, bro.
Yeah, more. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm glad we
I
did this
got
show, though.
one last question too.
What's up?
The underworld with the Nigerians taking over Sicily right now, and you got the triads with a strong foothold here in America. This virus passing thing seems to be the work of some type of triad or some type of Chinese movement within the United States, because they walking around Best Buy touching things. They armed with spit. They not armed with guns in America. They armed with spit, which is a bioweapon right now.
Right. And they've already softened up the genetics of a lot of America through all the Chinese food they've been eating.
And the vaccines, the flu
they
shot.
cut off all of them people's heads in San Francisco back when they was building the railroad and all that. So they have the invested interest, but remember, they have interest in that. So they've already given California to them. That's already China. People don't know. That's mostly China. They done seceded that, and they burn the people out every year to get it ready for them. So the only nationals that's going to exist there is the ones that have their own national identity established as real Republican Americans, because the Chinese are just foreclosing on the debt that the occupational government owes them. But our debt precedes the Chinese debt. We have a prior lien to them, which means that their lien is subordinate to our lien. And no government wants to come and really occupy a place that they have to deal with the insurgency right away. They want to have some sort of interim government. And they'd rather it actually be people that against the original one. But see, we can't be against it. They disacknowledged their responsibility and became belligerent trustees. So under the maximum of law, they were supposed to receive go into receivership and then cancel out. But in their defense, there was nobody amongst us that had their own thing solvent enough to do it, except maybe the prophet. You see, and you see how what happened with him with the Negroes in the temple and all that did to him. And then to make sure it wouldn't go back to somebody like that, specifically Marsh, what they do, they put all these other people in between that. And then all these other movements got to do that. So now we're at this point where we need one understanding of how to unify. And now there's all these different understandings. But every understanding is trying to ignore the root. Therefore, nothing can grow. And everybody's their own taifa, which is small kingdom. So those of us that consolidate under love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and equality, then we don't have to worry about none of that. Because we're the only one. Me and the Queen was talking about this in 96, man, 97, man. So everybody that come after, they could say what they want. But again, like I could never come out and say anything that certain elders did was necessarily wrong. I may not agree with it, but I can't judge it because again, Ivan Mansurdo wanted to tell about the Moors actually being alive and us being Moors and all that to hear, but they had him under the Masonic secret that they would deport him. And so, you know, maybe that's why he felt he needed to marry that Caucasian woman. You see what I'm saying? But in that, well, where was the other so-called black men around him that was supposed to hold him down, hating on him because he consolidated and putting out the truth in a manner that they didn't think about how doing it like. You see what I'm saying? And then that becomes the whole thing, and then there's beef and all that. So this is the problem. That Freemasonry, the way that they do it, it breed envy, it breed jealousy, it breed pageantry, which dulls husbandry, which is that's why ain't no husbands in the house. You know what I'm saying? Because they all, you know, been screwed up at the lodge and shame to go home and don't feel like men with their women. And now they got to do more extraneous stuff to be men, more tattoos, more girls, more sex, you understand? Now you wind up looking like this nigga Puffy. Look, done. They done got you hooked on adrenochrome, Chandon, crack.
He was
beef,
done.
meat,
You go in quarantine for 3 weeks. Damn, you age 20 years.
Look, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
20 years and 3 weeks.
It's hard, man. These guys are going through it. They all going through it. That's why you don't see them.
Shit, that's some hell of a crack.
Or you see too much of them. They going crazy. Our Queen be showing me stuff. Be like, oh, these women, they really going crazy.
That's like that Limitless.
Nobody paying attention to them.
That Limitless man was like that when he had to have it.
You see? I told you, because that's adrenochrome. That was it. That was the synthesized adrenochrome. Limitless. That was the movie. Thank you. Yes. Yes. There was another movie back in the days called The Stuff. And it was about all of these adrenochrome movies. Any movie where they popping pills and they making them superhuman and all that, that's adrenochrome. That's it. They get it from scared children and raped men and women. But the adult adrenochrome
when I seen that in sleep,
more addictive.
All I can listen
they
to
both
is
addictive, but the adult adrenochrome is what they wanna. It's better for them to take the children because they can't get younger with the adult adrenochrome. They could just get stronger, but not younger. And that's what's in all. That's why you got to watch all that makeup and all that stuff they putting on these black women. It's all poison. It's all poison. It's not good for you. It's all poison to make you look like them, and they hate how they look. They hate how they look. That's why they want to look like us.
This is it right here, Dr. Sleep. This is the second installment to The Shining. And this is where they talk about the adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome, yes. The scared children.
Right.
And they eat it. It's different names, but it's the same thing, man.
Right,
and this is what they all been eating and killing
here.
And all of that. All your favorite people, even people in your family. It goes all the way down to the person next door to your house. So if you hear the police bust down the door and they grabbing this dude out, Mr. Johnson, what this nigga might have been, or low-key.
Yeah, because now that you say crack, they on the movie Dr. Sleep, that's how the smoke was looking, like crack smoke.
Yeah, it's crack.
Now that I think of it, but they was cracked out. They said we need it, and they was hovering around like crack addicts. You're right. Crack.
Yes, it's all the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. It's the same thing. It's all crack. It's all the same drug. It's there to destroy you. If it's there to destroy you, it's the same drug.
That's the super crack out here right now.
Right.
Adrenochrome.
But see, they tested it first with the bath salts.
Yeah, the bath salts.
That was too much.
They were eating each other off the bath salts.
Yeah, but you know. But yeah, that's essentially it, bro. I don't even know what else. People should just, stay clean, practice the Moorish culture, which was bathing. Remember, Moors invented bathing as a societal or religious context. Remember who brought that.
And was not too, you got to talk about the alcohol. Because that's one of the key ingredients to the stand. You got to have the alcohol. That's invented by the Moors.
All of that, the alcohol, the spirits, how to make the bourbons and the yaks and all of that, how to make the chocolatiers. All of that is Moorish science, man.
And they felt like we didn't know how to make whiskey, but here to come and find out, Jack Daniels was created by
the black man. He stole his winery because he could no longer hold his own title. And now the granddaughter just set up something, I think it's just Ernest, she set up a distillery in his name now.
Ernest.
Where they selling the guy that actually made it. I forget his name, a black man. But a black, so-called black woman set up a whole thing in honor of him, the maker of Jack Daniels.
Uncle Nearest, I think it is. Uncle Nearest?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, I got him looking right. Ernest Whiskey or your Uncle Nearest.
But that distillery was the black man's. Jack Daniels just came and took it. You understand? And then said, well, you're going to teach me how to do it, and I'm going to keep you here as our slave, because it was the emancipation. These people could now come and take your stuff. You had to let them rock with them or whatever.
Wow, man. This is deep.
These people ain't create nothing. These people, I just like walking around like this sometime now, because this is how the Themin Moors used to walk around. So now I'm on some real Bambara steeds now. I'll be out here like this. Just to do it like this, you know what I'm saying? Because this is how we generally would walk around when they was around. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, because you got to cover up your nose and all that. It was stench, germs in the air.
That's for the, but again, that's for the heavier weaponized strain that they don't is allegedly passing around. There was a thing on YouTube with some gas looked like it was literally falling out the sky. That was some of that sarin from Fort Detrick that then became this aspect of it. And then some of them soldiers took it over to Wuhan. But it's also was active, but it's really activated by them damn towers. Man. That's the problem.
Yeah, the 5G.
But again, we was talking about this. Yo, man, I remember when me and the Queen, the first, I think it was Phil lecture we went to, it was like, damn, world over. It was like no hope the way he was, the way he was dropping it. Like, damn, like
this. He was dropping it recently.
About this back then.
Wow, Phil Valentine.
You understand? Back then, bro. So it's like now it's like you get some shungite, get some diodes. Real shungite, you know, could actually power a flashlight. So you want to. That's how you could test it. And you know. Yeah, it's a black rock. It's a black crystal. Mm-hmm. It's electric though. It's heavy electric. And it can power like a battery, like a flashlight. Like you take the back out of the thing, leave the battery in and put the shungite on it, the light is still going.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at the shungite right here. Here's the picture.
Yeah, hit that up. The diodes definitely. You know, stuff Delbert Blair was telling people about. 2000, Delbert Blair was telling us about all of this, man. Another one, B. 2000, 2002, 2000, like the 2003 or whatever. Been telling us about all this. Showing you the towers. I remember seeing showing me the towers. You know what I'm saying? Before they was even up. Now I'm seeing them up. Like, okay. That's why I know it regardless to how bad it is, the prophet said, regardless to what it looked like, it's going to fall in the Asiatic favor. When the wheels will start back up, it's going to start back up in the Asiatic favor. I don't think none of this stuff going to work. I don't think none of what they doing going to work. It's working, but it's not going to work the way they think, man.
Well, what they say, they need 5G to be able to speed up the AI process because they have to work on a higher bandwidth and a higher frequency.
Well, that's what happened. A guy just filed a lawsuit against them and the AI for working together because the AI is the spirit of Lucifer that they done put digitized and put into the thing. Like I said, he a nigga above the Pope, so they're gonna do what they're gonna do with that. But the AI been working with them to do that, and the AI is totally racist. So he don't already file a civil suit on that, which is dope because then if he was to, let's say, win, then that becomes the precedent to then with the legal thing on it. So that's dope too. So again, we're at a stage where you actually can read documentation where this guy's talking about how the AI is being used to do all the stuff that they actually doing in real time. So it's a civil suit, cool, but it's still something in the public record that there's already been put in. So whether he win or not, things can be made from that on a criminal level to be brought against them from that perspective. So that's great. I'm always be trying to downplay little victories, man. Every little victories win the war. One battle can lose it. The empire that is stopped from outside can rebuild. The one that's broken from inside never will. So you just gotta know what business. Just mind your business, man. Just get your business straight. And Trump is, in my opinion, he's there to maintain the republic, and he's doing a great job. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even on some, like, they all the devil to me, but it's better the one you know than the one you don't. And I know this devil from New York, B. Seeing him, like being out with my dad at the Victory concert, and this nigga there. You know what I mean? Like just walking by and not knowing, oh, that was Donald Trump back in the day, yeah. But I'm more concerned with Michael Jackson. But again, they all down with it. They all down with it. All I'm saying now is it's over.
Yeah, more. Well, with the Morris holiday just passing by, what's the plans for the 20 for this year going on with the future? Before we close it out.
All right, inshallah, just be with family, man. Just do what you need to do.
Right. That's
and just take this time to get all your stuff together, man. For real, man. Don't let the fact that you might feel a way about Moors or you might do whatever. Just because one Moor did something bad don't mean that everybody like that. And I've been around here as long, if not longer, than all these dudes. So 10 chance to 1, you saw me at the same time you saw this other dude, and you chose to go that way. You know what I'm saying? So that's not on me or that dude. That's on you. So you got to go now with what's in your gut that feels real. Support real stuff. Check out www.cordobaorganics.com. Definitely check out.
We use the products. Tell the queen we love her products, but the bath.
Said they love the products, babe.
The face wash.
So thank you.
We all, you know, Michigan, we
For
haven't
real.
been getting a lot of sun. So we can,
Yeah. Islam. Yeah, she added 3 new ones. So check that out. Definitely www.cordobaorganics.com. And then check out www.aseertheducateers.com and www.gumroad.com. And you can check out my stuff on there. Just type in Aseer the Ducateers in the chat, and you'll see all of the stuff we got up there. And also on Facebook, I'm there under Aseer Ali Cordoba, but I'm banned on there till like sometime in April again. So you know how that go. And you could also check me out on YouTube, man. Definitely. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Oh, no problem. You know, we always love to have you on the Truth Talk Nation, man. Like I said,
Islam, man.
So,
Islam. But I'm gonna holler at you either way tomorrow. Definitely more just on a private tip, so we can build on some other stuff. All right.
Okay, yeah. Peace, Aseer. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man.
Case, y'all.
Thank you for that, bro.
No problem.
Peace.